I just finished watching the interview Star Wars Theory hosted with the original scriptwriter regarding the Kenobi show, and I feel like screaming. I feel like I need to tell everybody what happened. I am both giddy with excitement and outraged at how it all turned out in the end. I'm going to kind of spark notes a short video here, but highly encourage you to go watch the original interview. The link will be in the description. Stuart grew up with the original trilogy. He adored Star Wars and knew the characters like the back of his own hand. Most importantly, like many of us, he felt that there was a story to tell between the episodes of 3 and 4 about Obi Wan Kenobi. So he puts a trilogy together, telling his impressive story. It was to be a 3-stage character process, following Obi-Wan's growth after Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan initially was racked with guilt and felt responsible for Anakin's turn to the dark side, and the darkness that swept the galaxy soon after. His plan was to train Luke after he turned like 4 or 5 into a Jedi and save the galaxy and rectify all of his wrongdoings. Obi-Wan needed a release from his guilt and his suffering. He also completely lost his connection to the Force. So the first movie would be him trying to find out why he lost it and how to get it back. Obi-Wan faced moments of anger and impatience, and he really hit a rock bottom. But after having a vision of him raising a second Anakin, aka Luke in Anakin's robes on Mustafar, he faces the reality of the fact that he has to let his guilt go. At this time, Vader would be on a mad hunt for Kenobi, ripping the galaxy apart in the process. The Emperor told Vader to move on, but Vader refused until Kenobi was dead. They would still share that magical moment we got in the actual show, but the build-up and the settings of that moment would have been way more satisfying to see. I won't go too much more into the details because it's just better hearing it from the man himself. Stuart presented his idea of a script to Disney way back in the era of Rogue One Star Wars. He had a vision and he pitched it. Disney turned it down ultimately because, get this, Solo bombed. Therefore, in Disney's logic, no one wanted to see movies about standalone original Star Wars characters ever again, and they rejected his script. So Stuart moves on with his life. Years later, Disney finally warms up to the idea, probably after all of their own ideas bombed, and they decided to make a show out of it. They bastardized his script into what Disney believed the show should be, and we all know how that turned out. I was coping hard after the show released. I wanted so bad for it to be good. Now I recognize that the show had a few great moments, but the rest was just forgettable garbage, not what the fans deserved. When I think about it now, I realize that Stuart's vision had nothing to do with Leia at all. I really actually believe that since Disney was pushing their shitty agenda so hard at the time, that a show about a man who was the lone lead was just something they could not handle. So they shoehorned in a female who was the actual lead of the show. So much of that show was Leia driven that it's actually crazy. Obi-Wan just gets swept along for the ride. Whatever growth Obi-Wan had was like injected in at the last minute, so we could see his character actually had some growth in the end. Reva was still there, but she had a much different role that actually sounds pretty awesome. And Cody was apparently supposed to be Obi-Wan's support character. Yeah, I'm actually lost for words here. It just goes to show, yet again, that you need people who love and care about Star Wars behind the wheel. That is the only way this IP will ever be saved. You can't just hire a bunch of writers just because they share the same philosophical ideals as Kathleen Kennedy and expect to turn out something great. They don't give a shit about Star Wars, and the outcome continues to reflect that. It is actually incredible how badly they have fumbled Star Wars. In another reality, we would have gotten this Kenobi trilogy, and life could have just moved on as normal for us fans. The love of Star Wars burning bright in our hearts, always looking forward to what's coming next. Stuart talked about being open to running a season 2 of Kenobi. Now, I always said that there should never be a season 2 of that show, but hypothetically speaking, if we had this man running it, I think he just might be able to redeem it. At this point, the whole Star Wars series just needs a reset, but it does give me hope knowing that there are still people out there who are passionate and have Star Wars stories to tell, who don't actually care about the paycheck. They just want to honor George's universe and excite the fandom. So yeah, go watch the interview. I got goosebumps many times throughout it, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. May the Force be with you.